At the height of the Third Reich, the map of Europe looked very different than it does today. Indeed, all these areas in red were occupied or controlled by Axis powers, principally Germany. As Germany increasingly came under attack by the Allies, they began moving their industry out of Germany itself. And this strategic approach led to the development of essentially Mauser factories in other countries like Yugoslavia. And what's called the Zastava arms factory today was one of those places where the Mauser rifle was built. In fact, production of Mauser rifles continued following World War II, and was probably the most readily accessible Mauser 98 today is what's called the M48 that we're going to look at today. Well, here she is, folks. This is a Mauser M48 Mauser from Mitchell's Mausers. This is a premium grade rifle. And when you open this up, now I'm not calling this an unboxing because I have opened this up. In fact, we fired it just the other day. But this is what you're going to get. First of all, you get Mitchell's certificate of authenticity, and it describes the gun just a little bit, so that's kind of neat. Now, Paul Mauser patented this essentially final Mauser bolt action design in 1895. 3 years later, it was adopted by the German military and became known as the Gewehr 98, what we know as the Mauser 98 or K98 rifle. So the certificate is kind of interesting. Now, this M48 Mauser was built in the 1940s on German tooling, it says, set up in Nazi-occupied Yugoslavia, just as we already talked about. And it's considered military new. Collector's grade, premium grade rifle, matching serial numbers on all major components. Mitchell's also gives you a nice owner's manual, something you're not going to get oftentimes with a lot of military surplus or even used rifles. This is an 8mm Mauser, 7.92 by 57. Mauser, 8mm Mauser JS. J being the World War I version or variant of the 8mm. JS being this one, World War II. Then there's an R, which is a rimmed. Those are all different. So this is the Mauser JS. There's the Mauser rifle. And here, you know, they gave you a bunch of stuff with it. I'm not going to bother showing you all this, but the important piece of stuff in here is, of course, the bolt. And we're going to take a closer look at this a little bit later. I'm going to set this aside. Now the rifle itself. The wood is solid teak. That's interesting. That's good. There we go. K98 Mauser M48. Let's take a closer look at this bolt. This is the famous Mauser bolt action. And this part right here was what made it so darn good. Often replicated, often duplicated. This is the claw extractor giving you that positive feed, positive control. When you work this bolt forward, the bolt head grabs a cartridge from the magazine, and from that point on, it has control of it. It's not just kind of pushing it or nudging it forward, it's actually grabbing onto it right here. And this controlled feed, controlled extraction is really what made the Mauser rifle so famous and so darn reliable. It's a pretty hefty bolt, 3-position safety. This is in the safe position right here. And I want to draw a comparison between it and the very similar bolt used by Ruger in their Model 77. Now this is the bolt from my Ruger 77. This is the 338 Win Mag, and notice how similar it is. In fact, the only difference is that this bolt face is just a little bit more recessed than we see with the 8mm Mauser. Okay? Other than that, I mean, it's essentially the same thing. In fact, it functions in much the same way. Much of what you're accustomed to with a bolt action. Just setting it right in there. There's the bolt release. Slides forward. We're in position. Fire is there. Safe there. And the other safety. Now, the difference, of course, is this one, in the full right position, locks up everything. And one of the things that Mitchell's Mauser is careful to point out is that when the safety is in this position, yes, you can cycle the bolt, which is great because you can eject rounds from the magazine if you're not going to be firing them. But it is possible that a strong blow here could release the firing pin. That's what they're telling you. And so the absolute safe is right there. So we're going to go ahead and remove this, pulling that release open. There we go. The sights, right there. If you're familiar with the AK, you might say, hey, those are like the AK. But you know what? The correct thing to say is the AK is like the Mauser, because the Mauser came first. Similar concept. Now we have her set for like 1,700 meters. And when she's all the way back here, this is now set for 100 meters. It's zeroed at 200, but normally set at 100. And there you're going to shoot maybe 2 inches high. It's a hooded front sight. A nice fine post. And when we had this out at the range just the other day, and actually firing it, we noticed trigger's just fine. It's a long trigger. It's a military trigger, 2-stage trigger, so it's got a long first stage take-up, and then it breaks pretty cleanly. This, of course, is the cleaning rod and the bayonet lug. Now, we don't have a bayonet with it. Don't know that I really need one. But you know, you can pull on this forever and it doesn't come out. Well, it's not supposed to come out by pulling, because you can imagine in a war situation, battle situation, if this just comes out because you're pulling on it or a recoil, that's not a good thing. So what it is it is screwed in place. It's a long threading. So they got it set up that it's not going to come out on its own. And there we go. Now you probably say, hold on. That is not long enough to fit in that barrel. What did we do? Get ripped off or what? Well, no. The idea is that this K98 is going to be used along with a squad of other soldiers. They're all going to have cleaning rods attached to their rifles. So when it comes time to clean it, they all sit down together, they unscrew their cleaning rod, attach the number of pieces necessary, and you see that there's threading, obviously on both sides. Male, female, connect up X number of rods, and you're in business. Kind of the same approach that we took in the military when I was in the Army, of each pair of soldiers would carry half of a pup tent and then assemble that together in the field. Well, there we have it, folks. Hey, a piece of history from the 1940s, probably 1948, 1949 range, when this was made on Mauser equipment in then occupied, or previously occupied Yugoslavia at this Zastava factory. And still absolutely functional rifle, not a problem to shoot it. Certainly kind of a fun rifle. Hey, we've got some footage of firing this thing out at the range. Well, we're going to roll that next. So stay tuned and thanks for watching. There you go. Just your normal scissor feed type of magazine. 5-round mag. I'm used to 3 in my 338 Win Mag and those kind of guns. Now that Mauser claw extractor grabbed hold of that first round, and it's got complete control of it now. It's now chambered, and we're on safe. We're going to watch this thing out here also. This is an indicator of it's a cocking indicator. Gotta get used to the trigger. You know, it thumps just a little bit, but it's not painful or anything. And I was thinking, with this metal back here on the stock, that it might want to slip, but I don't get any of that. That's nice, not bad. It's got a long trigger, but it doesn't feel bad. Yeah, kind of fun.
That's like no recoil.
Now, second round.
I pulled that one though because I was expecting more recoil.
Second round, just do a little bit better. How's the recoil?
Like non-existent. I think I hit that on. That was a good shot.
That looked good the way you were squeezing it.
That one was a bit low.
Can you see? Or how it felt?
That's where I was aiming. That was perfect.
Is that it?